I just told them we were
Hello,
doing
hello. Welcome to Burnie and Bestie Live. We are here today. There's Burnie. We are here today with the one, the only, the OG deprogrammer and freedom igniter, Monica Richardson, who is the filmmaker of the film The 13th Step. Let's have a big round of applause. Go ahead, clap it up for Monica.
Yay!
Thank you.
Why is that working?
Welcome, Monica. Tara, it looks like you're frozen.
I don't know.
I want to do a big welcome to everybody who is with us live. You are in for a treat today. And anybody who is catching the replay, you are very welcome here too. Please feel free to leave any questions you have in the comments for Monica, for, of course, Burnie or Bestie, or anything about the 13th step or anything in the deprogramming vibes. Let's have this. My intention for this is to have it be a spark of a conversation for all of us as we deepen our critical thinking, our self-trust, and our freedom beyond 12-step cult religion.
Yeah.
Hey, we have Cassandra here. Hey, Cassandra. So maybe you are already know who Monica Richardson is. If you don't, she created a film. Was it in 2011, 2012?
Yeah, I began filming in 2011.
On the 13th step. It is... Yeah, I watched this film the first time, I want to say in 2021, like a year after I left AA, I found her film and I found it to be really validating. There's one line that you said at the end of the film that really moved me. And I loved how graceful you were about it. It felt so like deep, but also not aggressive at all. And you said, I realized I was never broken. I didn't have a disease and that I'd been hoodwinked. And I was just like, what a graceful way to say it.
Thank you. Yeah. That's when stuff comes out as you're talking, like when I was making the film or even when we're blogging, these nuggets, I bet you've experienced that, come out and you realize that thing about being broken is really, really bad and it's really sick. And I bought into it for a long, long time until I took a meditation class. And the guy had trained people at UCLA. I mean, I was like 30 years sober. And I didn't really believe I was broken anymore, but it was nice to be validated by somebody who ran like a huge meditation where they had to take the religious part out so that it could be taught there. He said, you're not broken. They've proven in studies that whether you had addiction, whether you're abused, that you are not broken. And I just was like, oh, it was like, boom. I think that was part of my leaving, really. And it was a woman in the meeting who turned me on to him, and we did like this little workshop with him.
Yeah.
But thank you for having and doing this.
Yeah. Tara, you're back. We can see you. You're all good.
Yeah, I can't get it to stream to my audience, but I just shared your video to Facebook, so I don't know what's going on. So sorry that I missed the beginning, but here I am.
Well, do whatever you need to do to join us the way you want to join us. We're just unpacking the idea that Monica was never broken and I was never fucking broken either. And that being sold the lie of being broken is harmful. It's called learned helplessness, and it traps you in a forever system that pretends it's recovery. It's not. If recovery implies that you're done, there's a graduation. It's like, could you imagine if you were in forever grade school, and part of the lie that gets us trapped in that system is this idea that we are forever broken, and we're not broken. And there's a lot of reasons why my brain was doing what it was doing that had nothing to do with a spiritual malady. And so I loved the line that she said at the end of her movie. I realized I was never broken. I didn't have a disease and that I'd been hoodwinked.
Yeah. Yeah. And the freedom that comes with it too. Like you talked about the freedom as well. And it is the most freeing thing for me after so many years trying to make it work and just going through everything, going through all the motions and being like, eventually I've got to do it right. Like eventually it's got to work, and always striving to adhere to these steps and trying to do them right. And it would never work for me. But then now that I'm gone, I can just live my life. Like I just get up and I just live life. There's no trying to make sure that, did I pray enough? Did I surrender? Did I do this? Did I do that? It's just, I just live.
Yeah. Like the constant working on yourself. Yeah. 30 years of that. Or when I hear them, I'm like, yeah, I'm done. And I did have a period where I was like, no, I'm done working on myself. It's like 35 years. And then I was like, okay, I could, there's still things about me. I could use a little fixing. So then I changed my attitude, but in a different way,
Yeah.
But I started to see on the note of that, Kirsten, is that I started to notice women that got to the 25-year sober range really starting having issues. A lot of them started to go on antidepressants, which I don't have a problem with, but they started to really struggle with depression and this kind of circular thinking. Like really, a lot of them had other issues that were never addressed. Okay, all kinds of it. Was people who have ADHD who never took medication, because God forbid you do that, or people who really suffered, God forbid you either do ayahuasca or plant-based medicine or take medication for depression or anxiety or do something about that. And I started to sit there and look at them and I go, wow, they're like really getting fucked up kind of like after 25 years. They're not okay. And when I had 25 years, I was like, this is a burden. This is no big deal to not drink. I loved it. But this is a burden where somebody goes, oh, wow, that's like a big chain around my neck. I got 20. So what? And I started to like the younger people, like the newer people more because they weren't so brainwashed and they still made sense and they still questioned things. And I was like, kind of like you better than that one over there with 30 years.
Wow.
A lot of them are really nice women. So, I don't want to put them all down.
Yeah, I met a lot of great people inside AA for sure. I had a lot of great connection, a lot of great women, a lot of great people for sure. I mean, there was obviously people that don't fit that category, but it wasn't it wasn't all bad. There were some great relationships in there. And the ones who left AA also, I still have those relationships. I think it's hard to maintain relationships when you're with somebody outside of AA, when you're in AA and you're really in, because you really believe they're dangerous, they might get it on you. So at your survival level, and so I understand, I have a lot of empathy for the people who are doing the shunning, because they think that they're scared that they might die. Essentially, that's the conditioning, right? So I get it.
Yeah.
And it sucks to experience it when you leave. And I won't do that again. I'm okay if you believe something different than me. I don't care what political party you are. I don't care what religion you are. I don't care where the heck you're from, any of that. I'm okay with you believing different than me without me having to convert you. The question is, you have to be okay with me having different beliefs if you want to be in my life today, because I don't do that. I have to be converted by you thing. And that is a gift of deprogramming.
Oh, that's why I like you. We're on the same page there. Yeah, I feel that way. It's really a tough world right now. But I kind of feel like that AA did a lot of groundwork for some really bad stuff that's going on in our culture, that's going on right now. That it's like a blanket of getting people ready for some kind of communism thing where it's the we. Did we talk about that? Where was it Morgan Freeman did this whole special on God? Did you guys see that? It was a series about it. Morgan Freeman, he talked about God, and he brought this guy, and he said, how do you brainwash people so really quick? And I was trying to figure that out. I had been years out of AA doing the podcast, and I was like, how does this happen so fast? It's the we, making people say we and us, and the individual does not matter. And I was like, wow, that's AA and it's communism. And that's really scary. And so I was like, wow. And and that stuff over and over, that reading and the way they do it with the droning and have you seen a person? Like you just like, ugh. But and there's other components, but that's a kind of a big one. That's why in deprogramming, if you get up and leave, the thing just came to me, do not sit for the opening, get up. Do not sit for when they read the 12 traditions during the coffee break. Go out and get coffee. Go to the bathroom. Pretend you are going to the bathroom and leave for the prayers unless you want to say the Lord's Prayer. But it's really the preamble being read, how it works being read, the 12 steps being read, all brainwashing you for the we and us. And you don't matter. You alone cannot make it. Only we can help you. I mean, you're like, what is this, like a bad Boris Karloff movie, from the 1930s, which is when AA got started?
Yeah, totally. And I am currently obsessed with the 1930s and early 40s. I'm like learning all of the World War II things. Yes, I realize that's unusual and fuck it, that's just my vibe right now.
Yeah.
And I just, I mean, last night I watched Oppenheimer again with my mom. We've already watched it before, but seeing things again and hearing things again and understanding the mentality of war and understanding the mentality of the Pacific theater and the Japanese who got the bomb dropped on them, right? We know that. But their mentality was they would rather die than surrender. And I was like, how interesting. In AA, it's like you have to surrender or you will die. And
Yeah,
what we
right.
do when those death gets embedded into us with our beliefs and what we're willing to do and the kamikaze fighters and stuff. And I'm thinking about the conditioning.
Yeah, it's serious. Tara, we haven't got a chance to, really meet each other. We were both wanted to interview each other. But so how long did you go? Were you in there? How long have you been gone?
So it was like in and out all of my 20s, so it was basically all of my 20s in and out. And I dipped my toe back in a couple of times in my early 30s, but I would say I've been completely away now since like really a true member since like 28, 29, since I was 28 or 29, which I'm 40 now. I'm not really good with years. But so I've been away for a while, but even when I left, the bigger thing for me was when I left, I still recommended it to everybody because I thought I was the problem. I was one of the few it didn't work for, and that everybody else, because I saw so many people or who I thought that I did, then later they all messaged me and they're like, yeah, I was kind of just going because other people were going and all this stuff. It was almost like, because I went to a lot of treatment and a lot of sober living. So it builds up these whole communities, right? So you basically start acting like someone who you're really not, just for the other people. Because if you're not doing these things, then everyone's going to think that you're sick and suffering and everyone's going to talk about you and all of this stuff. So it became like a mini high school, no matter where I went. Once you're in these sober living communities that have so many, like it's like Rainey calls it a cult within a cult, it really, because it takes on its whole new thing. So I still believed in the program years after I left. Even when I first started sharing online, I was, I still thought it was a disease. I still thought that AA worked for most people, but I smoke weed, right? So I was like just sharing that you can still have a life and smoke a little weed and do it. But then I met other people who, did harm reduction. I saw your movie, The 13th. Like, I was like, holy shit, it wasn't me. This whole time I thought it was a me problem. And then that's when I got hooked on this stuff. Because I was like, not is it just my little experience. There's a whole, like, there's a whole truth to this. And that's when I got like addicted to sharing the message.
Right.
There's a line in Monica's film, The 13th Step. By the way, her film is The 13th Step. You can go to YouTube and type in Monica Richardson's The 13th Step. I also linked it in one of the first links in the comments. Definitely worth watching. Lance Dodds, the author of The Sober Truth, in your movie, he says, a behavior cannot be a disease.
Look what we're going to have to fight with people in DC. I don't know if we want to touch on it, but I was like, wow, we really have a fight here. But I think it might be, I don't know anymore. At least I said to my husband, I'm not like really, really upset about it. I've accepted how hard it is, what a big fight. It's been in the government since the made its way in, the senators, and it began then. But maybe because this has grown so much and you guys have really big voices, and now I'm back going to do more podcasts again, and I'm a lot, I'm just here again. You can learn how to organize and write letters and do stuff. Reach out to him and reach out to them and say, hey, you seem to have really good critical thinking over here. Maybe you could have, and he has an open mind about plant-based medicine. But you want to?
Are you talking about
RFK Jr.?
Okay.
And the new thing that they've said about, I don't really know what they're going to do, because the stuff we got excited when Obamacare came in, because I thought they were always going to have to be evidence-based. So we thought they were going to have to be evidence-based. And I talked to people where they were forced to go to AA, like it was written in the ACA, right? The Affordable Care Act, and they made a shitload of money. It was not evidence-based at all. It was still, she's like, and I was like, wow. So it was pretty disappointing. I had to just kind of let that go for them. But what do you guys think about that? you want to not talk about it? Just talk about it.
Well, I mean, I don't know if we're talking about how the treatment is not evidence-based and how it's 12-step based, and how the last thing that I saw RFK Jr. say was that he literally used the word faith-based. He literally said, like, we need to get more, to 12-step to faith-based. And, religion and, it's just one of those things, like, this is what treatment is. Like, I'm someone who went to a hell of a lot of treatment. At first, my parents paid for a lot of it. Then they stopped paying. And because I was in Massachusetts, we had, mass, like what Obamacare was. We had that before it was everywhere, right? So it was very easy. You could go to detox and then get out and then go right back in and just, you can continuously be in and out of treatment if you're on Mass Health, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I never left with any sort of different plan other than go to meetings, get a sponsor. There was, it was like, maybe get a therapist, and all of, what they say they do multiple different disciplines or whatever, but they get what one CBT worksheet. Basically all of these places are just glorified 12-step meetings. So I really feel like treatment already is what they're saying it's going to be. So if it's just going to be maybe more Synanon, like, I don't know, right? Is that the path that we're going to go? Because it's already mostly 12-step based. So I don't know.
And the stuff that isn't, they don't pay for. All the good stuff that well, that's true. Passages, if it still exists, and I think it might, is in Oxnard, but it says Ventura because it seems nicer, but it's in the county of Ventura. What I call middle class, non-12-step, because they had the fancy one that his son went to. I forget the name of the guy. His father and his son would have the ads. And it is, you call in and it says, hello, we are completely non-12-step based. We do not promote Alcoholics Anonymous. And I was like, damn, this is great. We found a place for you. But, the fancy place was like $50,000 a year. It was cash, you had to pay. And that was up in Malibu. I don't know if that burned in the Woolsey fire up there, but the one in Ventura was really, really good. Like, amazing. And you could use insurance, but then you had a copay. And then I found, that's something I never did because I wasn't as organized as you, Kirsten, was when I found all these places and then reach out to everybody, put this somewhere, a central list of places that are really non-12-step rehabs, detoxes, and places that people could go get help because people were desperate, to get help for their family or their loved ones or themselves. It was really hard to watch people struggle, but once I had the group, we could go in the group and ask people, does anybody know of like a real non-12-step? And they were like, yeah, I just went to one. And people like fighting. Oh no, that like people are crazy. Like just what happened to the group when this woman came in and said, I'm going to drink after 20 years. You want to talk about that? Holy crap. I'm going to have a drink after 20 years. You know how long she drank? 4 years on the weekends. And her parents sent her there as a teenager. Now, I know she has some health issues, but is she really going to have a problem? I kind of doubt it. And it's also none of your business what she does. Yeah. It's none of anybody's business what anybody does in that group. And that was in the deprogramming group where we're really strict about it. And yet still, they came in and they're going to be punitive to her. I was like, no. Like, did you see that, Kristen, or did you miss that little flurry of lunacy that happened in the deprogramming group?
I didn't. I know I did not see that. But I think even the idea of meetings are required for sobriety, treatment is required for sobriety. The entire idea of how we so-called treat addiction is, to me, all AA based in ideology. And like when I quit smoking cigarettes, I didn't have to profess my powerlessness over nicotine, and I didn't have to surrender my will in my life, and I didn't have to go to meetings to talk about not smoking. I had a sufficient reason that horrified me, like an anti-vision. I had a sufficient reason that was positive, because this is how we create change in our brain. We have to anchor negativity to not changing, like a really bad thing, and a positivity to changing any fucking thing in our life that's difficult. And then we just practice it. And then over time, we are conditioned to the new changed life, right? So for me specifically, I had just done a yoga teacher training where I was 90 days sober. I was the one smoking cigarettes outside at every yoga break. And I was horrified because I'm coming in smelling like cigarettes. We're adjusting each other. We're living together in a bed and breakfast in wine country of all places. And I'm chain smoking outside at every break we have. And then we're learning about pranayama and your breathing. And I'm like, fuck it. I'm 90 days. I'm just barely hanging on here, folks. I'm not drunk anymore. Give me a break.
That's funny.
And then, so 2 months later, I went to India for a month and I learned Ashtanga is what I got trained in. And so I was going to Mysore where it came from. And I was going to go to like the master Shala place. Right. And so I had this vision of being again, mortified and embarrassed that I'm the one chain smoking outside the, yoga studio, this famous place. And I was like, I can't be that again. So there was my negative reason to help me change my life. I didn't want to humiliate myself again every single fucking day, having all the advanced yogis look at me, a beginner yogi who doesn't know shit about yoga, who's also chain smoking outside. So I was humiliation helped me make that change. And then the positive change was I wanted to be a non-smoker, right? So I had the reason why I didn't want to do it and the reason why I wanted to do it. I didn't need religion. Although religion can help some people, that might be your positive reason. Yeah, I didn't need to adopt all these beliefs that aren't related to the fact that I no longer want to do this and I want to do this. Right. And that's how humans change. That's how we change everything. The idea that we need treatment is even an idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be, I've already put it in the group that I'm going to do a Zoom and you're invited. I'm going to do a Zoom to kind of brainstorm and talk about it and then how to take action, because I think it's really serious and it has to stop. To have a brain surgeon who I interviewed for my film, Dr. Barkadarian, say it's not a disease. So, you have people saying this and it's really hard for me to listen to that and go, how if you promote AA in the early years, that all you did was go to a meeting and share, that's from early revival when the guys used to go around on their wagons, during the Dust Bowl era and stand there and give their talk, and that if you shared, it comes from the early 1900s. And I think maybe prior to that, 1903, where you're sharing, and that sharing, you're giving it to God, you're freeing okay, there is a component of talking out loud and letting stuff out. But how does that relate then if you really have a disease? Like, I think it's insulting to somebody like me who had breast cancer. I needed treatment. Yeah. And I didn't go any to support meetings because I didn't want to be there. I had a tumor, non-cancerous meningioma tumor removed from my brain. I didn't pray it away. There are religions where people don't get help. Yeah. And they die. But I think that under, what you're saying, Tara, that it's a whole disease model. It took 20 years for AA to convince Congress that it was a disease. He just beat him down for 20 years. And you had Marty Mann come flying out here and making friends with all the Hollywood movie stars to start telling these stories. The Lost Weekend and the Days of Wine and Roses and hammering it, and then going after children, literally children with I Am a Teenage Alcoholic, which I watched before I walked into a meeting. I mean, my son said, Mom, it's in the lexicon. It is part of American culture. And I know that you don't like hearing that because it just makes you like, then how do you undo that with a movement, and I was too alone for too long and I'm not alone anymore. And there's more, but you guys are super, super powerful.
And I'll get people that will say like, who cares if it's a disease or not? Like, people are dying either way. And it's like, I get that in a sense, but in the other sense, like, so much of the stigma and the misinformation and how we treat it and how we go about it and how we assume that people have to go inpatient and they have to do all these things, that comes from how we think about it, right? Like, if we think about it as a disease, we think about it as these steps that take to get better. And it's just, I really I'm all about, we have to change that narrative, because I don't think that much changes until that changes. And it's so backwards though, because it's like, it's a disease, but yet you have to pray it away and give it to God. Like, that doesn't, it's just like it.
I mean, how did the AMA sign off on that? But Yeah, right. I know.
I mean, that's
it's
an option, but that shouldn't be the standard court ordered
right,
option. That should be an
right.
option if you want to choose to like pray away your whatever. Like, fine, we
Disease.
have
I
freedom of
mean, I did
religion.
pray. I was on my knees. Like the last drunk I had, I was like on my knees in Hawaii in the little room, my dad's house, and I said, God, I was Catholic. I was very like a little Christian Catholic, and I was like, not at that point, but anyway, I was raised that way, and so I was like, I'm done. I'm done. I never want to drink again, and I'm finished. And I was. I don't want it. These people there, and I was when I finally found my way into a meeting. I looked up and I said, I can do like that and that, but that first part, I am powerless over alcohol. I said, I'm not powerless over alcohol because I stopped on my own. And there are many choices, many times. And they said, well, then you can't get the whole program. And I said, but I did. I'm sober and I'm happy. What more do I need? Well, you need to work on your character defects. I said, what character defects? What are you talking about? We're human. Like that part just kind of, but they grinded me down. And I almost had a nervous breakdown. We didn't talk about it. Like by the time I was 10 months sober, it was bad, really bad. And I don't know how my path in my life would have changed. And I do have regrets. I do. It's okay, but they're not the same. Like I finally got over some of it by saying, if I was not in AA and I didn't know all that I know, how bad it was, and I left, one of my sons would have died because I would have pushed him in there, but I didn't because I knew. And I knew even when I was in there, it was as I was leaving in the last few years. And I knew we're not going there. No. And other people that I met who were being bullied by their family. And, I might have been the only person in the room that they knew that didn't say, oh, yeah, you should do that. And I was like, no, don't. Oh, my God, you don't send your kid there. Don't send it to Betty Ford, please.
Yeah.
And off they went to Betty Ford.
Monica,
and Betty Ford was a drug. She was a pill taker. She wasn't even a drinker. What a PR little fiasco that one was.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Monica, speaking of family, Harry Lime 87 asks, can Monica touch on marriage, parenting, and the false ideology entering your family system and those, I guess, AA effects?
Yeah. So marriage, I could start with my first husband, where when I first left, I was like, this ruined my marriage. Like he followed me to AA. The guy had already quit drinking. I mean, I could talk about this for a long time, but I'll try to just touch on it. So when I did leave, I thought, oh, you were so rigid about that. Like, so he went down on the Titanic. He went on down. He was one of the first with the French, whatever, the French maritime. And they went down, they found the Titanic. Isn't that a huge deal? The first people. So when they got up, they had champagne. Well, okay, that's a normal thing, wouldn't it be? He didn't drink for a long time because he quit on his own. Then he met me, and then he kind of followed me around AA, but he didn't buy it all. And I had when he came home, he told me, and I was like a crazy stepper, okay? And that did not help the marriage. So that's the belief system you're asking of that. That's problematic. There was a point where I went to Al-Anon meetings. He's like, what are you going to Al-Anon for? What are you talking about our personal stuff in an Al-Anon meeting? It's like, yeah, that was a problem. Do I think the marriage could have still survived? I don't know, but it didn't help at a big level. Then parenting, same thing, stupid stuff, stupid shit I said to my sons, both kids. One I found pot on early on. It was ridiculous the way I acted. I smoked pot, way overreacting. I never sent them to rehab, but we went to counseling, but I mean, I didn't force, I didn't call for the guys to come in 2:00 in the morning and tie them up and put them in a van and take them away oh my God, I know people who did that to their kids. But the mistakes I made, they were real. And I spent like years apologizing and crying about it. And so the question was parenting, marriage, and then there was a third one. I don't know. So, in leaving, my husband was in it too. My second husband, Kevin. And, he just followed me out. He was 20 years sober. I was 36 with that sober. And, I started the podcast, and I started on Tuesday night because that's when his last men's stag was on Tuesday night. And he would listen to it as he was driving to the meeting. And he'd come home and give me feedback, and he'd say, listen to yourself. You can critique yourself. He gave me all great advice. But, eventually he was like, he would come home and tell me stories, and he started unraveling. And I like what we talked about the other day, Kirsten, about you can be gone, but you're not deprogrammed. Like Tara, like you went through it too. And, That is, I mean, I still kept going, but I had a different circumstance, right? My experience was different. I've known people who are gone longer than me who still say, I said, what are you talking about? Stop that. It's not true. They still have that stuff in their heads.
Yeah.
And I mean, I am confrontational. Like, I really am. Like, that's my personality. So sometimes I just shut up and I'll look at them. Now, like, I've ruined relationships, ruined them with people that were producers of Kevin's shows because they were like, oh, what's your film about? And then I was like, oh, I'm, taking on Alcoholics Anonymous. Oh, my boyfriend just went there and he saved his life. And I was like, no, wait a second. You want to be really, and she's like, just like totally shutting me down. And I'm like, oh, I think I just stepped in a big puddle of mud. But
yeah, nobody wants to hear the emperor's naked.
But there have been people come up to me in those parties and whispered in my ear, thank you, Monica, so much.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Then you'll push back. And so that's like that. It's okay. I guess it's part of my personality. I'm working on it.
Well, to thine own self be true, right?
Yeah, and I wouldn't have made the film if I didn't have those balls. And I would not have made the film if I didn't know. Like, it was good that I didn't know how big AA was in government in California. So Jim Branscombe, who I did put his whole interview up a while ago, I drove all the way to Colorado and interviewed him. He was on the board of Alcoholics Anonymous when my letter arrived, and they refused. They wouldn't read it. And then when they read it, because they have to read those letters, as long as you say CC the board, and they read it to the board, and he and another guy who was a journalist from Canada looked at each other and said, these people are nuts. And we're leaving. And they resigned from the board. So that's another way to also get at an organization, is that you go to the board members and you say, look, like, this is what's going on. And they put judges on there, and, they play that whole game. Really important people that are high up. And who was it? Marty Mann. She had the IBM guy. Like, it was either the top guy at IBM or his second in command. And she put him on that first council, the American Council of Alcoholism, I think was the first name of it. Mm-hmm. They were so strategic. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were very strategic. She was a PR woman, one of the first of her kind. And her lover worked for, was it the big magazine, not Glamour?
Was it Vogue?
Yeah, no, but it was as big as that. Priscilla was really big. I can't remember the name of it. But anyway, are you kidding? Back then, you have that kind of connection, you're connected. And that's how they wound up on the front of the Saturday Evening Post. And they said they have to show their faces, or we're not going to do it. So everything's a lie. You have to be anonymous, but we don't, as we promote it. And
it's attraction, not promotion, but just don't look at the fact that we're promoting the fuck out of it.
Yeah. But I think there's a lot of people who have left. A lot of people have been empowered. A lot of people. There's people on TikTok. I don't even know them. There's a couple. That woman who knits. I don't know her name.
Knitting cult lady. Yeah.
I mean.
So what inspired you to make the film, Monica? I think a lot of people would love to hear a little bit behind the scenes. And then anybody who's watching live or catching the replay, let us know what questions you have for Monica around making the film, around filming it and interviewing people, around what happened after, whatever your questions are. Let's see. Let's vibe together in the comments and join the conversation.
The reason I made the film is Christine and Sandra Katz, her 13-year-old daughter, were murdered by a guy that she met in a meeting in Hawaii in 2010. And my friends who are in AA let me know that when I was there visiting for an AA event that I was kind of investigating. I went there to, see what was going on with predation with women in meetings. And so it was all over the news. Like, it was the advertiser made it on the internet, and I could call and talk to everybody, the reporters. Anyway, I was horrified. And then I went into the world that existed then online, and they said there was just a murder out in Santa Clarita, and that was Carla Brada. And so I literally just looked up her mother online and called her on the phone and talked to the mother, and found out about that. She knew him 4 months, and he strangled and killed her. And this is a guy who was ordered 50 plus times to AA meetings. And instead, Yeah, he was court ordered. Did I say this right? He was court ordered to AA instead of going to prison. It's not funny, but a lot of domestic violence includes the drinking, and they all play that game when they're really domestic violence people, dudes, and they belong in prison. They got to do some time and have, anger classes, anger management classes. And so that happened. And I went to my meeting, and so it was kind of a trifecta of three things. And I was sitting in my meeting, and Callie showed up to this women's meeting I went to, and she's sobbing, and she's talking about this guy who moved into her place, and she had 90 days, and she couldn't get him out, and he had 9 years, and he had no job. And then she and I talked, and then I wasn't going to those kind of meetings anymore because they were kind of creepy. And a lot of us women with a lot of time were not going to those meetings in West LA because they were creepy. And a lot of good guys like my husband didn't go to mixed meetings anymore. Why? Because they were creepy. The women were creepy. And so they started these big dude meetings, and we had the women's meetings, right? I went to the meetings with Callie, and I was like, holy shit. Wow, AA's really deteriorated. What's going on here? And I found out there were a lot of women, and they weren't talking about 13-stepping. They were talking about rape. They were talking about sexual assault, big time. And I could see them. I could see the guys. And then when I called people, they said, you need to call this guy. And he was a board member, and he was a delegate. And that was Paul Cleary. And his 7-page letter had been sent to the board a couple of years prior, warning them about not only all of this, but even about child abuse and people preying on single mothers with small children. Then I called my friend in Hawaii, and he told me a story about a woman I knew who had that happen to her little girls. She let a guy who she met in a meeting rent a room, and he molested both of her children, young girls. And they didn't tell their mother until they were adults. So it was big. Yeah, I see your face, Kirsten. And the meeting I went to, we were all crying, like the women who were good, decent women. But the thing is, no one knew that they were court ordering violent and sex offenders to meetings, or that they were targeting meetings. There were rapists who would come out and they say, hey, man, don't go to a bar, go to AA. They're so easy there. So because they won't go to the police because they're embarrassed they're in AA. So it was really big, and it just got bigger. It felt like a big snowball. But thank God I didn't know how entrenched it was in the courts downtown and people. So I kind of just went each step, as I took. And I took a class. I said, oh my God, Kevin had somebody who was helping him with his, PR, whatever, marketing. And she said, you need a class. Just take one class at UCLA Extension on how to make a documentary. So I went, and then it's like everywhere I met, like that little helper. It's like in Buddhism, it says the doors were open. I would meet and stuff when I would hit a wall. No, don't be hitting the wall, Monica. Move on. Like my lawyer said, stay away from the judges. They can be really, stay away from the judges, Monica. They could really hurt you. So I did. I pivoted and I said, I can't do anything there. I'm moving here.
We have another comment. Kara asks, I want to know about the 12-stepper hate that came with the film and at whatever stage.
12-stepper, like how much I hated 12-steppers, or
how much they hated you while you were reading. However you interpret that's what I read. Whatever you read, it's for you.
The 12-stepper. Yeah. So it was really bad. We had a couple of trolls that went crazy on us, that would stalk us everywhere that there was. Facebook was not big yet. So we were on blogs and the Orange Paper blog and other places. Like, say if there was a news article and we'd all be there, she would be there, or there was a lawsuit where this woman had to travel. They was between each other, fighting and hating each other. So it was really, it was bad. And then there was a shift, maybe when I was on Katie Couric with Gabriel Glaser, and then it was just not gone. But oh my God, I'm going to tell this story. So finally, it was so hard to get any kind of press about my movie, like real old-fashioned press, and the press was still alive. It was still there. It's still alive now. But anyway, so it was the Orange County Register. And these guys, I'm going to release their interview. So it was Terry and Tony Saavedra that had been following the horrible rehab. So many people were dying down in Orange County. And it got put on, online, as well as like the real newspaper. And I was like so excited. I think it was 2018. So look how long it took me. 2018. This woman was on there calling him fat trolling him, this crazy person who had trolled me and other people. So they were like crazy about, hating us. And then it just, when I say maybe when I had breast cancer, it got better. People left me alone. And the people who would make comments on my YouTube channel, I found it kind of funny. Like, I was kind of like, hey there, man, you're this and that. And I was like, thank you. I'm so happy. Like, you got to learn how to, it's like be able to disagree and fight with them or debate with them without like losing my mind. And I grew thick skin around it, but I also learned how to kind of just let it wash over me. Yeah, I really did. Like there's some people again, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, there you go. You got a middle schooler here. We got a 12-year-old. They don't know what I was like at 12. And you know what? I was a tough little kid, and I was an athlete, and I'm just like, really? No, it's not happening.
There's a lot of people who are starting to dissent right now, who are starting to find their voice and feeling called or inspired to make a difference and to speak their truth about leaving AA and that journey and to support people or even just express themselves. What advice would you have for somebody who's just starting to speak out about the harms inherent, I guess, in AA ideology?
Yeah, do it. Do it, but do protection work. And if you're not religious, I think protection work is really important. Like even people who, Hawaiian woman who was taken on some of the big corporations talked about this person where she did, work because of, it's not just what people say about you online. It's like real evil. And if you believe in a religion, then use it. And if you don't, you can do esoteric protection work. It's really, I don't know how crazy you think, it's really important. Like I've been dealing with stuff with the city council in Culver City. And, you just gotta, like, it really works. And all cultures that are real cultures, well, at least the ones I've studied, the stuff that's helped me. I did Shinjuin Buddhism when I left. And so I did some of these chants before I went into the meeting. I did more grounding work and I did chakra work and then clearing work. And then I have, God and to pray for protection there. So I would say that if like I said, if you don't have religion, you don't believe in Jesus, you don't have Buddhism, then learn how to do kind of an esoteric protection work because there really are. There's evil there and people can be brutal and you don't want to feel that people are talking about you crap online and it's not healthy and it's not okay, but they're going to do it. So that would be my biggest advice. And so I forgot about it. And I was like, oh God, I got to do that again. Yeah. And you don't feel it. You don't leave feeling like crap then.
Yeah. What is protection work? I don't know what that is.
So you want to hear like more of a religious side or just a non-religious, like an esoteric?
I guess probably, yeah, probably non-religious because I'm not really.
Okay. So like the violet flame, like white light, protection of the white light or violet flame of Saint Germain, like that. I didn't know what it meant, but every time I did it, it worked. It removed the energy. These are energetic, so we all have an aura. I mean, I believe we have an aura. Like I grew up in the 70s. So, I mean, we do. We have,
you can measure it.
Plants have auras too. You cut them and it's still there. So it's like we have an energetic field around us, I believe. And that, one could say, you could go onto YouTube and look, how can I do a protection work that's non-religious? And it would be, it's like doing threes. The affirmations are always in threes. And you do it, I am protected by the white light of, and I would say Jesus Christ. But that was just in there. But you could say, I am protected by the white light of the highest good, of the highest good. And all evil, I cast out all evil. That's it. It's about good and evil. You could simplify it. And then there's we have our different chakras and I would balance my chakras. They all have a different color. And I was into that stuff for a long time, grounded myself so that when I walked into a room, I wasn't off. I mean, I was off balance sometimes. I was intimidating. I was in front of 300 people who were hating on me and maybe 10 people were for me when I was still in AA and I was going to those general service meetings, confronting the people in West LA. And by the way, here was the worst. They are the worst here. I would go to other places and they were like, oh, thank you so much. Like the Latino community. They're like, can we have the literature? We're just going to take it. We're not going to have a meeting and ask if everybody wants it. We know we need it. We're going to translate it and put it up. you know? So the gay community was the same way in West Hollywood. Not the whole community, but a meeting felt that way. But yeah, so did that answer it? I mean, protection work?
Yeah. I wrote it down. I'll look more.
Yeah, I mean, it's you don't have to be, because it was a time where I wasn't, you know. And then, but the Buddhism stuff really helped, because it was these mantras. I didn't even know what the hell I was saying. But when I went to the temple, it's far away. It's like 45 minutes away from LA in Fullerton. I was like, it's a whole nother culture. Wow, it was like this Japanese form of Buddhism that this guy who was an engineer wanted to help regular people learn about Buddhism. And at one time you could not, unless you were a monk. So the regular people could not learn about it. So he wanted to change that. So it was like these cute little like dragon chants. And boy, I needed dragon chants when I was doing with AA members. Yeah.
When I first moved to Bali in 2014, I did that because there was this thing that was happening then where tourists, like specifically white women, were being shoved off their motorbikes and their bags being taken. And I was terrified I was going to be shoved off my motorbike if I rode at night alone. And I was also just learning how to ride a motorbike. So I had all this fear. And we know, like with dogs and humans, dogs can sense fear and they can sense love. Well, humans can too, is what I chose to believe. And I do think that's true. And so what I would do is I would imagine a white healing light. I was super into all this protection bubble, all that kind of stuff too. When I was wearing a bindi every day, I had a spiritual name. I was in. But so I would imagine a white healing light emanating from me, coming down through my head and emanating from me when I was riding my motorbike. And I would visualize as if there was a God that was a human, which is not really my conception of God, right? But, and then and God was riding behind me, hugging me on my motorbike. And I would just say in my head, thank you that I am safe. Thank you that I am safe. Thank you that I am safe. And that was my mantra that I repeated at night as I rode home in the dark. Yeah. And I would feel almost as if I was physically being held while I'm visualizing this white light around me. And I chose to believe that would emanate from me, and I wouldn't be the one that would be attacked because I wasn't emanating fear, just like dogs can figure out who's afraid.
Yeah, and they know. Yeah,
and
definitely.
It made me feel safer. And so that was one of my first like protection bubble things. So there's all sorts of ways that you can do it that either involve a God or not or whatever. But for me, it's the affirmation and the visualization and really being in that energy of being safe and protected, affirming it.
Do you do anything, Kirsten, because I know we all get the comments. Is there anything specific that you do to deal with it, or?
I mean, there's so many ways that I can go around this. What I've been doing the past 10 days is not reading any of them. I feel fucking great. I go through different seasons. I've gone through where I've hit it with logic and I've used them as an opportunity to like teaching moments.
Yeah.
I also like to find the truth in things, if like empathy, like I get why you think that, like without being condescending. I try never to be, I mean, sometimes I'm arrogant. I try never to be like go low, like when they go low, we go high kind of a thing. Yeah. I try never to go low and let my lower self lead. Because that's not who I want to be. And I don't want any culty to drag me down to who I don't want to be. I want to be a higher version of myself every day. I want to practice being like loving if I can, having empathy, or even just being intellectual. I'm okay with being intellectual, which is like, in my opinion, like a lower vibe, but just being kind of like, actually the disease thing is an idea, not a reality. Actually, talking about harm isn't killing people. The harm is the harm, like, so coming from it intellectually or coming from it with heart and trying not to let myself be dragged down to my lower self, and definitely not responding from my lower self. And that as like a practice, right? And then taking breaks. Like, I don't know, like I got a death threat. And since then I've been like, you know what? I'm just going to like take some space to like do my own vibe for a minute and just not engage because and also block people. And so, and anytime somebody crosses a line with me where they've gone in, please disagree with me. Let's all disagree with each other and grow and expand and use that to find out who we are and what we want to be and everything. But when someone goes like really low and they're getting into like the names, I just block them immediately, because I'm like, if this is where the patterns I've noticed is that they get worse over time. So if you're already starting at such a low place, it's just going to get progressively worse. So if you're already calling me a B or a W or a C, it's only going to get worse. And I don't mind being called a whore. I'm like, what the hell does like a bitch? I get it. Like, okay, fine. Of course. And I am sometimes, but like, what does this have? Like, what? Just kind of like, is this, do you and calling me a C, by the way, that's one of my favorite words in the world. They're Australian. I'm like, it's like aloha to me. I'm like, I giggle because I informed how that, I'm like, yeah, but I'm not going to tell them that I actually love that word and it's not offensive, because if they're already at that place where they're going as low as they can to bring me down, there's no point in engaging with them. And like, I would rather be, again, back to me on the motorbike. Do I want to be in my fear, or do I want to be in my white light, higher self vibes? And that's a choice I have in any moment. And I want to move myself into my best self more often than not. So I don't want to be I don't want anybody to pull me out of who I want to be, which is more of my higher self than my lower self.
Yeah.
Are you getting a lot of that, Tara? Are you getting a lot of?
Yeah, I mean, and I wouldn't say any more so than I think it's pretty standard. You know, I always get at least something every day. Like it's always, and sometimes it's mild. Sometimes like, oh, another one who didn't read the book, or just like and it's like, I probably know the big book better than you do, but
Right. Like,
they
the
always
big book
have,
challenge.
yeah, exactly,
better than you do.
exactly.
We're 12-year-olds.
Sorry, you had a bad experience.
It's definitely a 12-year-old kind of thing. 12 and 13. Yeah.
It's just, and it's the same. And honestly, it really is probably the same standard 10 to 12 things over and over again, just like slightly reworded. But they always have the same things to say. But some of them do get pretty intense and pretty, vulgar and nasty. And just
I block
like
them.
they think, see, like I need to get over that, because for me, I feel like they think that they won if I block them. And I just need to get over that. That's me being immature.
Mm.
I don't think about it like, oh, sorry, Monica.
No, I don't think it's immature, but I don't know. You go ahead. Yeah,
I don't think of it because we get to choose our frames, right? We get to choose our beliefs and our perspectives. And we know that if we choose a belief and then we keep programming ourselves with it, we're going to start to believe it. Because I was programmed with AA. So now I understand that we can be a conscious and deliberate programmer. I don't choose to think of it as winning or losing. That's like an ego game that I don't want to get involved in. It's so tempting and it pops in my mind, but I'm not going to have that be what guides me. I'm going to come from a different place. I want to be empowered and I want to wire in my empowerment. So if I can't, it's block immediately or be who I want to be and use it as like, if I'm going to go to the gym and let's say I'm going to be working with a trainer and they're going to be pushing me to lift the weights and I feel like I can't do it anymore. They push me and I get stronger over time. So I will use the trolls to gain strength in the ways that I want to grow. So how can I grow here? Not how can I win? Not how can I let you know you're an idiot? Not how I can insult you, right? Saying you're in a cult is never going to work, but can I use this to grow? And if not, let me just block and move on or just ignore or whatever. And then process my own emotions that come up around it. And if I've had enough, then take a fucking break.
Yeah.
And I think it's abusive because I too didn't even think about it in the early part. And we're talking like 2018 when this thing happened with it finally getting in a newspaper and they were attacking a journalist. And I was like, wow, like this is really bad. And so I began to block people, and I've had to block some people recently because I'm getting louder again and they show up. But, I feel like I learned so much about like verbal abuse and what that is, and to be on the receiving end of it and in domestic violence situations, that for me, it's not okay. And I just can't take it. Yeah. I don't have it. I'm too old for that.
Yeah. We have a comment here I want to pull up. This is from Mr. Pug. What's up, Mr. Pug? Good to see you. Is it tea time? Mr. Pug from the UK says, I saw the film, Monica's film, The 13th Step, a while ago. I thought the bit where Monica went to AA headquarters and asked the woman there some questions and she wouldn't engage was brilliant. It exposes their cover up for what it is. So I wrote a quote about this exact line. So Monica, you were saying something around that you wanted to make AA safer. You were being so gracious, in my opinion, and you were being so gracious throughout this movie. And you said, we want to make AA safer. There's some things that happen. And she just kept saying, you need to leave.
Yeah, that was really fun to do. Really exciting. Thank you for that. Thank God I had the cameraman in New York City that was fearless, and he had my little point and shoot. And so we decided we couldn't bring in a big camera, and our phones were not good enough yet. So I had this point and shoot, and she noticed it, but he was so good at putting it down and stuff. And I did something stupid though. I even called them to say, I'm coming. I'd like to have a meeting with you and talk to you about this. And because I was someone who loved AA so much at once and idolized it, I guess in a way, and was this big book thumper and took meetings into prisons. And I was the AA girl when I had 6 years, and I was walking around in nice dresses and had gotten a job and a car. And I had this little world in Honolulu that was surrounded with a lot of plenty of nice AA people in my life. And I had a full life that wasn't just about that. And I didn't go to meetings every night. And what the hell was I just talking about? But anyway, back to, there was like that bubble of memory of me standing there, which I had. And then here I am. I had been there before with that sign, the symbol. And I was like, wow, this is just a charade. Like, this is bullshit. Like, they know how bad it is, and they're doing nothing to protect women and men and children from sexual abuses and predatory behavior. So it was exciting. I felt like I was winning. I just felt like I was winning. It's like, yeah, fuck you and the horse you came in on, and fuck you for everybody who died and everybody who killed themselves because you told them that they didn't do it right, that they needed to do the steps again and they were wrong. Fuck you. Like, that is, I think with that, I'm not screaming. I didn't go there and scream in her face and do that. But now, and even, when I felt like how they pushed us away, and we wrote letters, like women in the group, in the meeting, we wrote letters talking each person who had experiences early on. And the guy wrote back, and he's like, that doesn't exist. There's none of that going on. We're like, okay, like, I don't know, like, you're not blonde and you're not brunette. Like, we all have pink hair. I mean, it's so dystopian. And that really, quite a few women left. Because when we tried to say, let's go ahead and make it safer, they're like, oh no, that's not really happening. So, going in there, and then what the footage he got that he took that I used as B-roll was when I didn't know he did it. And he took a picture of the sign and zoomed in on it, which we used in the film. I got goosebumps. I was like, oh, dude, you got it. Dude, you got it. Like, it just was. I mean, nobody understands that unless somebody is in it. And, I had stupid earrings at one time, with these big gold earrings and a little thing, and all that stuff. And I could cry right now. Like, it just is what it is. I'm lucky I'm alive, and lucky that I not that I made it out. That would be too dramatic. But I think my family and one of my sons, and even other people I know, to have that support and guide them somewhere else. Because I met too many mothers whose kids are dead. Okay, it got really serious after I left. The film came out, and it was finally, and it was on Amazon for a couple of years, and then I put it on YouTube. But to have people watch their kids die as I'm doing the work, it was heartbreaking. Someone who pushed the kid out, they're in their apartment, drank themselves to death. Like, it's dude, like, it's really, no. So, and then I had to stop. But yeah, it breaks. I think what Kirsten said, I take it a lot on the weekends. I won't do anything. I'll try to really say, okay, I'm not doing that. And I'm getting hooked in now. So I have to be conscious and say, okay, no, you gotta take a break, Monica. Stop talking about this. Take a minute,
It is, because it's just like you get so worked up and passionate about it, like it's just one of those things. It's like, I feel like it's one of those things, once you see it and understand it and after so many years thinking it's so wonderful. And then it's like, once you see it for what it really is, and you see just all of the bits and pieces, because I mean, even just the personalities and the culture of 12 step, right? If anybody, whether a man or woman, was to speak out about a predator in the room, I mean, what's the, like the woman who shared in the film, I mean, what's the consensus? Typically nobody gives a shit, right? It's mostly, well, what were you doing with them in the first place? Why did you put yourself in that position? Why? So there's like, even just the culture of the program enables so much harm. And it's like, just when you peel back all of the pieces, it's just like, holy shit, how can I not talk about this, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of people contacting me now. We're talking about that it's still going on.
Yeah.
But now you have you and me. Like I didn't have a YouTube channel. You didn't. And there's a couple of guys. I think there's at least 3 guys that have good channels. They're saying good things. That people are more empowered, more quickly. They're validated. Validation is really important.
Yeah.
They're not gaslit. They're not told you're wrong. They're not told you did it. What were you wearing? You know, yeah. Okay. I had a mini dress on and go-go boots. Yeah. Like, sure. Okay. No, I don't think so. The guy had 9 years sober when he was preying on Callie with 30 days and circling her. And, you know, it's nonsense. But, you know, I do think that we're the next round, which this is probably not, I don't think I was the first round to go after AA. There was like Rebecca Farnsworth, like there's some woman who wrote a book, but this was big. No one had ever made a film to take it down, to really expose it at the level that I did. But that there's a next level, and we're here. And so this is all of, you know, both of you, that I don't know what's going to happen with the predation, but people have tools. Like they want the literature. I mean, I just remembered a woman I was supposed to get back to who wants to put on a safety workshop in her state. Like we're talking, I don't know how many years ago, 14 years ago. So I'm going to help them do it, but it takes a lot. But yeah.
So have you had I had that written down, the Make AA Safer workshops. Have you had an opportunity to do many of those ever?
Yes. So I did them back then. That was kind of like, I didn't know I was leaving yet, but that really helped me like leave. That was part of, I could see it. So Paul Cleary, no one had ever done them, but he said, I can show you how you would do a workshop on that. And we did it at the church in Culver City. And then from that, they came, and then a rapist was exposed. And then we took it out to West Covina. We did one there. Then somebody else did one in, I want to say, east of Pasadena. And what I did is, I started to write literature, and I had other people in my group help me refine it and rework it. And we printed little bits of it, and I'd go to meetings and hand it out. And then I went to those big Pacific Regional Service Assemblies where there could be 300 to 500 people from the region. So it's like 7 states, 13 regions in the West Coast. And you have opportunity to go on a mic in a ballroom with 300 AA members. And that's where I got really validated that something needed to be done. Because no matter what those people in charge at the higher levels, and some of them actually supported me. There was a woman who, she was like, Monica, do it. Go, 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 girl. I can't. I love AA. I'm going to stay as a trustee. I'm going to do this work. But I support you. And I was attacked when I was a newcomer. She's a beautiful, very professional woman who got assaulted early on in AA. So the amount of people that would come up to me after I went on the mic and said, I got these like pamphlets I made, and we feel blah blah blah. We feel like is the sexual harassment and predation, and this that other stuff is going on. And they would come up and, can I have some pamphlets? Can we just have some pamphlets to take back to Arizona? So it was still hard because I got so much sending me those things and I wasn't doing protection work. They were just saying zingers. You can feel them in the back of your body. Like people fucking crap about you when you're in the room. But there were too many people that were some really cool people, some really great men and some really great women that were like, it's really bad. We got guys coming into the meeting, pulling the gun out and putting it in their lap. It wasn't just predation. It was some really scary, violent. And because they're so trained to do nothing, I was like, what do you mean? Why didn't somebody call the police? Like, I was just like, oh my God, what do we do? What do we do? Oh, our Father who art in heaven. No. And, you just got to call the police. And some people did. Oh, the stories. Crazy stories. I would be calling the police departments in Traverse, Michigan. I called the police in Ohio for people. I mean, in Louisville, Kentucky, unbelievable. It was that was wild, but we didn't get it on film because my DP was scared. He was too scared, and we didn't have the kind of phones we have now. But boy, I would go back there today and do it in a red hot minute to expose that crap. They were bringing women out of prison, and they were coming to this really rough clubhouse where they were making them do oral sexual favors, and they were telling the prison guards they're taking them out to go to a meeting, and that's sex trafficking, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you have to cross lines to be sex trafficking, or I don't know? But I got up on the stage. They had a little stage there, and I just started talking from my heart, and I was like, "This is not right." There's only one white guy over there. There's a black clubhouse, and he was like, "Excuse me, miss, you can't say that here." I said, "Oh, yes, I can. I had more time than you, so shut up." It was great that I had so much time at the time before I had something to drink, because that's all that they're about.
Yeah.
My badge. I have 30 plus years.
So we have a couple of comments over here. We have Custom Sewing says the 13th Step movie should be shown in women's self-defense classes. And then we have Marina Life Animal says they should show it in rehab and treatment centers. So I'm curious, Monica, where would you like your film to be shown, or if it was mandated in places like this, or what would be your vision for who is exposed to your film? How can we help spread it?
When people get a DUI, that they could show it a MAD class. You could go see this film over here. If you want to go to there, go, but you should know there's a warning sign there. Rehab, they could show it and maybe make a short. I could make it shorter for that purpose. It was shown the national, what was it like, where you study some university, one of the biggest ones where they do, when you go for training, when you're going to learn about health policy, they contacted me and they showed it to a whole people that were in training. It got shown at some libraries. Recently, it got shown at a library up in New England. My mom showed it to her senior center group, and she said, "Monica, I didn't know the woman in charge who was so nice to me was a 12-stepper. She was very annoyed at me that I showed your film." And it changed their relationship. My mother, an 80-year-old senior who's so active in her senior center group. But yeah, so I think those places would be really good. Would they show them? I don't know. But, rehab and maybe in college. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, anywhere where you're learning about addiction and addiction recovery solutions, there should be informed consent, in my opinion, and understanding the 13th step is important. And when you say that the 12-step member was upset at your mom for showing the film, to me, what that speaks to is the ends justify the means. Let's ignore the harm because we feel that we're saving lives. Therefore, that's the huge part of the problem, is that it's all you can't talk about. You can't talk about the predation that happens here that we all know about. We can't ever talk about it because that might kill people if we talk about it's dangerous here because we're saving lives.
Yeah, but there's warning labels on even SSRI medication. Mm. There's warnings on all kinds of medication. I really think there should have been a warning statement read at every meeting. For those of us that had a lot of time, none of us knew they were court ordering violent and sex offenders to AA meetings for decades. None of us knew it. And we were horrified about it and then pissed. Why don't you warn people? Oh, well, you're going to scare them. Yeah, maybe you should scare them because they're here. Yeah. So, I don't know. But then let's see. The thing is, if you warned about the predators and decide to go anywhere, what happens when the abuse takes place? Will the group help her? When I was stalked by a member, no one helped me. Yeah. They also don't want to be liable. That's a really good point with that question. we wanted a stronger warning. After numerous years, they came up with, they called the yellow card. And they did write something in the grapevine, which was very creepy, but it wasn't strong enough. But they're not strong people. They're not strong people. There's a certain type that becomes one of those high up leaders who becomes not all of them. Okay, one of them that knows me, maybe he's going to hear this, but not everybody is that way. Not everybody is that weak. Okay. But there are a lot of strange birds that want to be on the board, or want to be a delegate. Wow, we'll talk about politicking with general service, and who wanted those jobs. And also, you see this dynamic that goes on with it. So when people say, "Oh, AA is not organized, AA is not that big," and when I brought the CBS reporter who was doing the investigation for Carla Brada and for CBS 48 Hours. If you don't know it, CBS 48 Hours, The Sober Truth was an episode about Carla Brada's death. When I brought her to the Pacific Regional Service Assembly in San Diego, everybody was dressed to the, with the suits and up on the thing, up on the whatever, up on the stage. And she's like, "This is AA?" She went, "Wow. It's really highly organized." And they are, and they designed it kind of like government in the way that's, anyway, it's kind of boring stuff. But when people see it, they're kind of shocked. This is just a little meeting. It's harmless. Nobody's pushing anybody to go. Yeah, if you get a DUI, are they still doing it? 50 states said you can't do it. It violates, that it's too religious. I've known people one of my sons had a Muslim friend growing up, and he got a DUI. And he's like, "How can they send me there where they're saying those prayers, And I said, "Yeah, well, that's part of what I'm fighting it." I mean, I like religion, but I like it inside the walls of the church, the synagogue, or, your place of worship. And you shouldn't be forced to a place where it's a lot of God. Like, and that's, some people felt like that was the downfall of my film. Like they thought I could have gone further and maybe got bigger distribution, but I really went after AA as a whole. Like I didn't just stick with the predation thing. So it was a really good award-winning documentary filmmaker who said, "Monica, just stick with that. Stick with that." He was the one who made the films about rape in the military, and I forget his name right now. He made really great films, but I couldn't help myself. I had to talk about how many times God's mentioned in the big book, how many, some of the other things that are, that was a big one, even though I believe in God, even though I pray, that's not the thing that's going to help a disease or mental health. Like people think really it's like 5% are helped by there, but how many are harmed? Like that was my problem. Even when 48 Hours interviewed me, I was so stubborn back then. I wish I would have just said, "Yeah, okay, it helped millions." But I'm just going to bring myself. I kept saying, "But it's harmed millions," but they wanted me to say something good about it. And I had such a hard time then saying anything good about it.
Yeah. We have a comment here from Samuel. Says, "Warning, how do I contact with Monica or connect with me?" Great job, Kirsten and Tara. You have a Gmail, right, about leaving AA or something if people wanted to get in touch?
Yes, you can contact me at makeaasafer@gmail.com. Makeaasafer@gmail.com. And bear with me if you don't hear from me. Like I finally am checking it, daily. But say if a whole week goes by and you didn't hear from me, send me another one. Say, "Hey."
Plus, they can come to your Facebook group or join your podcast because you're launching. You've relaunched your podcast.
I relaunched the podcast, so it's called Podbeam, and I found 111 of them that used to be on Blog Talk Radio. Out of the 370, I found those, and those are getting uploaded every week. The old ones, so it's really kind of funny to listen to me deprogramming and being so kind of naive and green. That's okay. So that, and then deprogramming from AA or any 12-step group is my Facebook group. Got to answer the questions or we're not letting you in. And there's leaving AA, and there's leaving AA and still like it for those of you who are leaving, but you still like it, because don't come into deprogramming group and think we're going to talk about how much you love it, because we're not having it.
These are Facebook groups, right? They can find
Facebook groups.
Go to Facebook and search for it.
Right. And you could go to my YouTube channel, and I did not read I had to stop reading comments too. Like, I just stopped reading them. So, now I read them again and I try to respond. So I'm actually responding.
And if you're watching the replay of this, I'll put all the links. If you're watching Sobriety Bestie YouTube, I'll put all the links below this video too.
Yeah.
I have a question, Monica. So if somebody is in AA or has left AA and they are dealing with that they witnessed somebody else or know about somebody else getting 13th step, or if it just happened to them. So if somebody just got 13th stepped or sexually assaulted in AA and types in Google 13th step AA and finds this video, what would you suggest for them to do, or what can they do? What is your wisdom here? Because I'm sure you've heard from a lot of people over the years that this was their exact question. So what would you say to them?
So I'd say you send me an email, and I think you should report it. Like, we did it. Like, call central office and tell them. Call, find the delegate in your area. Tell them you have what's the thing underneath the delegate? So they're not going to do anything, but you should do it. So, and then I would write a letter to New York, and now you can have Chat GPT help you write it. But and I would call them, and all those things. Yeah, it's there's people that leave that are, they want to kill themselves, and everybody's gaslit them, and everybody's told them that they are, that they're wrong, and you're really vulnerable. I was very, very vulnerable when I was like 18 and 19. I almost killed myself. But thank God there was like a woman who was like 10 years older than me. She befriended me. And so I didn't drive my car off the Pali Highway, and I got away from those people. They were AA people. And I had an older guy who said, you need to stay away from those younger people in AA. Those people are bad, Monica. They're not looking for your best good. And a Hawaiian woman heard about what was going on in Kailua, and she said, I'd like to be your sponsor. Can I have the privilege of sponsoring you? She didn't. She asked me, could she? And I really, she saved my life in a way. She really did, because she stood up to those assholes all the time. Big, tough Hawaiian woman with the cigarette hanging out of her mouth and the flip-flops. And, did you ever see Kung Fu Hustle? She looked like that woman out of when she That's really funny. Those Hawaiian people are great. Yeah.
If somebody is not dissenting and they're not doing a podcast, because all three of us have done, we did deprogramming work aside from dissenting, but dissenting has also been has really deepened my own deprogramming, right? If somebody is not going the route about speaking about this or writing about this on the internet and helping people in that way, what are some ways that people can deprogram that you could speak to?
Some of the free ways that I found that really were helpful in opening up my mind and going, wow, was I went to Smart Recovery meetings, only a few. Now they're a little infiltrated with AA people now, I hear, but back then it was very little. Reading their booklet, it's thin. It's cognitive behavioral therapy. It's actually a real program. That would be a good thing to hand out in prisons. But anyway, I would read that. If you don't want to go to a meeting, if anymore, moderation management, I went to a few meetings and I was like, wow. So it was like sitting with a group of people who were doing things in a different way, like polarly different. And I was like mind blown. I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like, I still use those tools today in moderation management. They suggest you have a glass of water between drinks for people who are heavy drinking or whatever. Or you eat, you don't drink on an empty stomach. Like, that's like really stupid. But anyway, but those meetings, and a lot of people are like, I'm done with meetings. I don't want to go to meetings. Okay. There's the books, a couple of books that are fabulous. The Sober Truth. Now you have like all of the stuff that you provide, Kirsten. So you could point them there. I would point them there. We did see a couple of therapists who were very anti-AA. It's very important to ask therapists how they feel about Alcoholics Anonymous. Are you in it? Are you in it? And Kevin and I went because, he was being confronted by more people because he's nicer than me. He's nicer, he's sweeter. And they wouldn't dare say it to me. I'd be like, what? What was that? And one of the great things, he ran into some of them, and the therapist said, you just go like this, put your hand up, and you go, oh, I don't do that anymore. I don't do that anymore. I'm over that. And that's something good to say to trolls. They're like one-liners. Just shut them down. Like, because there's nothing to say to that. What? They just boom. And so if there is the therapist, you better find out how they feel about it. Find somebody who can't stand it is better than someone who just is neutral about it. That's the truth. Because they're pushing all the time. They are not neutral. They are not unbiased. They are not in the middle. They are like right here. So reading the books, there's lists on, I think you have a whole list. I have a list on the deprogramming group in Facebook, but I think that's change your language. Stop using those words. Stop saying alcoholic. Don't use the word addict. Even addiction. It's a hard one. Who is it? Stephen Slate taught me this word. Problematic drug and alcohol use. I know it takes longer to say it. It takes longer to type it. But it's powerful. Problematic use or overuse. Oh, you're an abuser. You're a drug addict. You're addicted to heaven. It's like, I know guys who quit heroin. Like the guys who went to NA back in the 70s. They all went through it. I was with people who, my sponsor helped people kick heroin. And it's like after it's over a few days and nobody went on to Matt. But I'm not judging people for that. That's helped a ton of people. Medically assisted treatment. That is fabulous. Okay. But back then that didn't exist. It was only, what was it that, what is it?
Smart.
No, they gave him
Methadone.
That was it back then. But these people, they like, I don't know, but they believe that after 40 years, they're still an addict. And I had people tell me, I never believed I was an addict. I just wanted to be here. This is my family. I never had a family. There's some really sad stories of people who had horrible families.
Yeah.
And they find community there. People are looking for community. My son said this to me. My son said, Mom, everybody wants to belong somewhere. I want to belong somewhere. And I was like, yeah, you're right. But, when I would go back, I was like, I don't belong here. Did you guys feel? I was like, I don't belong here at all.
Yeah, I think once that line of thinking kind of leaves, it's very hard to submerge yourself back in that. Even when I wasn't fully deprogrammed, not even close, but when I just was like, I can actually do it without this. Even just that line of thinking, being around all the people who thought that if you didn't do this, you were going to die. It's just a totally different. It's just different. It's very different.
Yeah. And some of the one-liners, like to drink is to die.
Right.
When I was told that early on, I was in a clubhouse in Denver, another young guy who had killed his best friend in his DUI. Like he was driving, his best friend died. This is who I'm sitting next to in this meeting as I'm traveling through the country, and I'm in Denver now. And to drink is to die. I said, no, it's not. You have to have another one and another one and another one. What are you talking about? There were things I didn't buy into, but I still got, even though, right? Like I saw through this stuff I never bought into, but then there's stuff that I did. And so then that still got me.
Yep.
So that's the part that shows how powerful of a dynamic, toxic group it is. It's, yeah.
I liked what you were saying about language earlier, and I see Rick's comment. What's up, Rick? Good to see you here this morning. He says, I still like
Rick.
Alan Carr's book, Quit Drinking Without Willpower. And as far as language goes, there's a subheader here that says, be a happy non-drinker. You don't have to say alcoholic, diseased, any of that baloney. I'm a happy non-drinker. I was like, what a vibe to empower yourself with, I'm a non-drinker. Or even I'm a drinker, but I'm a non-drinker, not I'm an alcoholic, I'm a disease, right. I'm a defect, I'm a spiritual malady.
Or I'm taking a break. I loved that. I heard that a lot where people like, maybe in Smart or something where they didn't want to have to be like, I'm quitting, right? I'm quitting. I'm stopping forever. I'm taking a break. I need a break. And I thought that was powerful. And a non-drinker, yeah, it could be powerful, that language of how we talk about ourselves and what we say. I mean, I still do some stuff about myself. I was like, oh, stop talking that way. But yeah, this has really been great. I really appreciate you doing this.
Well, Monica, we are just wrapping up here today. Is there anything else that you would like to share before we end this fun and fabulous session?
I just want to thank the people who have supported me all the way, all the people all over the world who reached out to me. And when I was making the film, and even through my breast cancer and coming back and finally getting distribution and then finally putting it on YouTube, thank all the people who supported me and encouraged me and loved on me while I was being really hated across the pond or wherever, viciously attacked. That people were there for me, and the bonds and the friendships I've made with these people who left, who were seriously harmed by AA or their members. And that, if you're interested in it's, I don't want to call it activism work, but just getting a little more, like a little organized maybe, to push back and say, we want real treatment. We don't want the faith healing can go on. I can go on. I believe in I pray, but let's get things, science-based and medical treatment. Anyway, you know what I'm saying.
And what are the steps there? You talked about writing letters to people. What are some steps people can take if they want to do some sort of change making?
Yeah, so I think you could really write to your senators. They're going to vote on this. And I mean, I've done some calling to my senators and Congress people over the last 5 years. Write to them, talk to them, and even local people that will one day maybe be in that. But at the top, call your senators and tell them that, we really want medicine. We don't want AA in treatment. This really needs to stop. And maybe in like a quick blurb of your story, what happened. And yeah, I would write a letter. If something bad has happened to you, I would write a letter, an email to New York, and then contact somebody locally. And, maybe locally nobody's going to do anything, but you might watch somebody come out from the woodwork that's been waiting to hear your voice.
Yeah, we have Rick here again saying, thanks, Monica, again, for being there for me. Monica, I have scrolled through. The comments are overwhelmingly filled with gratitude for all your work. Thanking you for your film, thanking you for validating them. We had Bobby C was on here saying that you were the OG deprogramming godmother, the godmother of deprogramming. And you have helped so many people, thousands, tens of thousands of people with your message of, we can leave and validating people. And so I'm just echoing what I've heard in the comments here, what I've already been told by people who DM me about how much your work has meant to them, how many lives you have helped and impacted by your courage, and you're taking a stand for what you feel is right. And I just wanted to validate you for that, or voice that. I'm literally scrolling through all these comments and I'm like, do I keep throwing up all the thank you Monicas, or do I just put them all into one big love bomb? Because the love is definitely there, and your courage has been received by many, many of us, including me when I found you 4 years before I ever opened my mouth online.
Thank you.
Yeah, same. I mean, you're like Bobby C said, you're the OG deprogramming grandmother. And when there was no other voice out there, I was like, I didn't really know who you were. I was like, well, this chick's out there saying something. So, I'm gonna see you have definitely, I mean, even when I shared the original post I did about you coming on, people, I mean, everyone loves you, the deprogramming space, everyone. So thank you for
thank you. Thank you for what you're doing too. Yeah, I see. I love your space, both of you. I love your backgrounds and who you are and what you're doing. It's just so cool.
There we have it.
Good.
Bobby C, Anonymous Addiction Deprogramming Podcast. A shout out to the 3 badass deprogramming angels. Monica, the godmother of deprogramming.
I'm a grandma
Everybody-
now. I can be the grandma.
Well, the godmother is even more like,
Yeah, no, that's good.
yeah, because you really, pioneers get stabbed a lot. They get a lot of arrows in their back, and you pioneered this, and you took the
Yes.
brunt of a lot of what the new people coming up and dissenting. All voices matter here, right? But you took a brunt of those stabs in the back, and so I just wanted to voice that how loved and appreciated you are for all of your courage has made a difference in my life, in Tara's life, and a lot of people's lives. And I literally hear that all the time in my DMs about you leading the way, you validating them. And so I just wanted to say thank you on behalf of me and everyone that I've heard who has anonymously told me that you've helped them, because they don't even want to say yet that they left AA, right?
Wow.
So the impact has been major. Again, you guys can find her. I posted her deprogramming Facebook group in the comments. If you're listening to this, you can go to Facebook and look up Deprogramming from AA or any other 12-step group. That is Monica's group. You can look up Monica Richardson on YouTube, and she has her podcast is being revamped this year. There's a lot of places you can find her, and we love you. Thank you.
Love you too. Thank you. This is really fun. Thank you for putting it together. I really appreciate it. All right.
All
Thank
right,
you.
Tara, you want to stay on for a second when Monica pops off?
Sure.
How do
Okay.
okay.
I think you just hit the leave button. There's like a little red arrow at the bottom.
Oh.
All right. There is Monica. Yeah, we have all these, so many comments over here. Lots of thanks, lots of great gratitude. Tara, is there anything you wanted to add about the 13th step or anything that came up today?
It's just like when she had said that she didn't keep it to the essay stuff, just the predator stuff. I think it's important that she didn't, I think that it really, because a lot of the behaviors that go on are because of the culture. Like the reason that we don't see that in, like, people will always comment, that's everywhere. Not really. Not everywhere is there a universal word. 13th, like there's a universal word that no matter what state you're from, what country you're from, they know what that means. Like it's not really like that. It's the culture and what AA does to people, like just the time. You have so much time, then you're just thought of as this better person and all this stuff. So I think it was important that she brought up the culture of it, because that's what allows it to be so rampant, in my opinion.
Yeah, look what Kate says here. Kate says, I was warned to not watch the documentary, Monica's documentary, The 13th Step, while I was in AA. I watched it anyway.
Wow, that's funny. What about you?
I mean, I feel like we covered so much. I think Monica is just like, I really admire her courage and speaking out. I don't think that everybody should speak out, but it has been quite a evolution speaking out for me. I did it because something inside me was telling me to, like my intuition, my higher self, the part of me that's really brave was like, you need to talk about this. Like be the change you want in the world, was basically the vibes, right? Because I didn't feel validated when I left. I wasn't validated when I left. I was told I was crazy, gonna die, all these things, right? And shunned. And so I just feel like if I had been validated, although learning to validate ourselves is totally a vibe and it is great in the self-trust journey. But if I couldn't find any voices when I left that would just say, it is safe to leave. This is baloney. Yes, you caught the vibe. You are right. Like, it is not a fatal progressive disease. You can still do recovery if you want. It doesn't have to be 12-step. You can finish recovery if you want. You're already 10 and a half years sober at that point. You're done. You're good. But because there was no validation, that's part of what drives my fire to be that for other people, to be what I want. And in that trusting my gut, I have evolved tremendously. And I keep becoming a new woman like every month as a result of trusting my gut. So Dissenting is not required in the deprogramming journey. It's certainly not for everybody, but I think that huge rewards in our own evolution and in our own deprogramming come by trusting that still voice within, right? By trusting the wisdom, trusting our intuition, by choosing what we want to do in our lives and believing in ourselves, and being willing to take that action when we're scared, and to grow in whatever direction we feel called or led by her intuition to grow in. I love that Monica was led into deprogramming out loud, dissenting. And yeah, I think trusting ourselves is the whole vibe.
Yeah, it definitely is. And like you said, deprogramming out loud and dissenting isn't required. But for me, I didn't even know that's what I was going to do. Right. I didn't even plan on this when I started sharing online. It was just I was like, oh, there's more than one way to recover, but then as I met more people and then I read books, which I'm not a reader, but it was one of those things that got me interested. I was like, holy shit. And it was one of those things I was like, I have to tell people, because as someone who was so stuck for so many years thinking that I have to get this or I'm going to die, how many other people are still, how many people are in their Sunday afternoon meeting right now thinking the same thing? And I think it's great. Like she said, more and more people, it's like this revolution has started. And every time I log on to TikTok, especially, there's a new voice out there, and it's awesome.
Totally. Any new voices that come to mind?
And Anika Annie Bro, I just interviewed her for my thing, but I'm way behind, so you probably won't see her till the spring. But her name is Annie Bro on TikTok. There's another one, I forget her name, but I think she's like #1 AA hater is her.
Oh yeah, okay. Anybody, if any dissenters are watching, feel free to tag your channel or your TikTok or your YouTube or whatever below. Yeah. We have over here, we have somebody giving a shout out to Victor at Quackaholics Anonymous. I'm going to drop Victor's URL. If you have not watched Quackaholics Anonymous on YouTube or not, I'm posting it below. Great channel.
Great channel.
And we have Mazel saying, I'm very happy to know you, AA. It's extremely harmful, and it's the worst scam in modern human history. A scam indeed.
I never know how to say your name. Is it Vianney or Vinny? I'm sorry, but greetings from France. What you're doing is fantastic. You're helping to make the world a better place. I think, like you said, Kirsten, we're just trying to be the voices that weren't there when we were like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, we have Blue Butterfly here. Y'all, Blue Butterfly was in Monica's 13-step film. What up, Blue?
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so when I watched Monica's film again, because when I first watched it, it was like 4 years ago. But when I watched it again, I already knew Blue Butterfly was in her film, and I was like, there she is.
Now I have to watch it again.
So nice to hear other defectors on TikTok. Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you a question that was really good, and now I've spaced out because I was excited to see Blue Butterfly. Oh, I know what I wanted to ask you. So what is happening recently with the government RFK and that you posted about and you brought up? Do you want to unpack that a little bit right here? Like the recent recovery news or your thoughts about recovery in this past week?
So let me be 100% honest. I am not up to date on it. I saw that clip. I watched the clip and I said, this is very, very scary. I haven't read the Great American Recovery Initiative. I have not read that yet, but I'm going to read it after we get off. But from what RFK Jr. was saying in the clip that I shared, yeah, it seems like we are leaning towards faith-based, more 12-step shit, like more, this is what we need more of. And there was another article that I had shared where part of what they shared in it was a quote that said basically like 94% of people who needed treatment didn't realize they needed it. And that kind of made the hairs on my neck stand up, because that sounds like you don't know what's good for you. So we're going to force you into here because, you know, you're too sick and suffering to know what's good for you. So we're going to put you in these places, you know? So I'm not, what I'm hearing, I'm not happy with, but I'm not super researched on it yet to speak on it, but it sounds terrifying.
Yeah, totally. I wonder, I don't even know how to press the buttons. Y'all, I did a video on, let's see, we have Blue Butterfly here. First of all, Blue Butterfly up here said, I am a movie star. That's right, babe. And then Blue Butterfly is saying here, we knew something like this would happen with RFK Jr. being in such a high level of position. And we had Custom Sewing saying, RFK has a speaker meeting. Sadly, no, I wouldn't listen to it. So I'm going to post a video right here in the comments. It is a video that I did, like a reaction video called RFK Jr. is brainwashed and recruiting us. And that no matter what your political persuasion is or what you think of him personally or whatever, that I'm setting that all aside. If you even watch the first like minute of this, I just clipped together some stuff in the beginning where he's saying, I needed the brainwashing, 42 years, a meeting every day. I still hate meetings. And just the ideology that he's literally indoctrinating people. Look, bro, if you sober 42 years in AA, I am happy for you. Just shut the fuck up on the public stage because you're literally cult indoctrinating everybody into your ideology. And I just feel like government should not be promoting religion as a disease, as a solution to addiction, let alone promoting the disease model and everything else, right? And so I'm horrified that somebody who's in a position of health, nothing to do with politics, but somebody who is in charge of health is promoting AA and indoctrinating us into AA ideology. That was shocking to me. So I left that video there.
Yeah. Yeah, it was that from, I saw, it was like when he was running for president, like a documentary he did. And at the end, he was at a treatment center talking to all these dudes. And I heard him say that whole like, well, my brain needed washing and all of those things. And it's like, oh man, like, and yeah, I mean, and here's the thing is that AA and 12-step are part of American culture, right? Like it just is like anybody who knows nothing, somebody who knows nothing about substance use disorder or problematic using, however you want to put it, they know that those people who struggle, they have those meetings for those people. If they know nothing else, they know that, right? And so when you tell your average person, well, the treatment, it's all 12-step based, well, they don't see a problem with that, right? They're like, well, what's wrong with that? Isn't that what people like you go to? Don't you guys go to those meetings? Like, there's just, people have been so, like, it's just been in their ears so much that they don't realize what the problem is when you say these things. Like, your average person isn't going to think that there's anything wrong with it. Then you have the recovery, you know, the half of the recovery community that's all for it. So other people are going to hear those voices and be like, oh, well, those are people with lived experience. So they have people with lived experience at the table and blah, 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 blah. You know, it's just, it's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. I think it's so irresponsible to be on a like leadership platform bragging about brainwashing is necessary. It's horrifying to me without even understanding the consequences of the brainwashing. You know, I was just, like I said, I'm obsessed with World War II right now. I'm learning all the things. And I just watched this, this documentary or this like little clip when Ronald Reagan was an actor still. So in the 60s, before he was like president or governor of California, and he was like leading this show and he was talking about prison POWs in North Korea and part of how they like controlled them and how they indoctrinated them in very, very subtle ways. They got them to do group confessions. And I was like, so much of what I'm watching, these people, these known brainwashing tactics, is like literally what happens to AA. But they were having them do confessionals, like sharing in a meeting. They were all together in the POW camps and they had to share. And I was just like, oh, there's so many mirrors to like what's happening to prisoners of war and what's happening inside Alcoholics Anonymous. So just to say broadly, we need the brainwashing. It's like, according to who?
Yeah.
Why? No.
Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. JQ5425 says brainwashing is not a healthy choice. Trish in Progress said, my 22-year-old son asked me, why do people need AA meetings after 30 years? Because it works if you work it.
But it doesn't, because you have to keep going.
You only get a daily reprieve that's contingent on your spiritual connection. So wild. So wild.
Let's see. Blue Butterfly says, that has been brought up before by Ken Anderson. The Koreans use a similar brainwash technique to AA. Yeah, I think that's part of the reason why I got so fascinated in World War II is because, well, it started in 1939, right? It started right when the AA Big Book was published and AA was gaining hold. And that's what was happening in like when AA was coming, like starting, it was like we were moving into that. Hitler came to power like right around when Bill got sober. And so thinking about the context of how everything was in the world to me is like helpful to me and to place AA in the timeline in which it started. It's bananas that we're still using it. And it's, and I get why, right? Because society got indoctrinated into AA as the way. But yeah, the techniques, the techniques are there. The techniques are techniquing. Brainwash is brainwashing.
It sure is. It sure is.
Do you have any final thoughts, Tara, on 13th stepping or anything else?
Oh man. I mean, like you said, it's so much. It really is so much. And it's like, if you really stop and think about it, it's so emotional and there's so many pieces to it. And I think if we can, no, I mean, I don't even know. You know what I mean? It's just, it's so much. I don't even know what to say at this point, but it's a problem. And, she made this documentary, 10 years ago ish. And I think it's more rampant than it ever has. We had the 13 step podcast that was put out by New Hampshire Public Radio just a couple years ago. And it's talking about the power controls that happen within the rooms of, when someone gets a lot of time or they own a treatment center, and it's just a power dynamic that exists within those rooms that enables these things to happen. And until we have a huge fundamental, foundational change, then where is it ever going to change? I don't know.
Yeah. And I would say if you see something, say something. Yeah. Like I was told when I told my sponsor that my really good friend was SA'd, was 13th stepped and raped, both because she was like less than 90 days sober and he was like double digits, right? I was told there's your business, everyone else's business, and God's business. Stay in your business, stay on your side of the street. I wasn't asked what my part was. I had nothing to do with it. But what I would have rather have heard is, do you want to go to the cops? Do you know how to file a police report? Do you know, how do you feel about boundaries? Do you want to help your friend with self-defense and boundaries and self-assertion or like assertiveness training? Like, here's some actual solutions. Do you want to file a report? Should we write a letter to World Service or to the whatever? There was no way to do anything to make the room safer or to validate my friend or to help her healing or to even help me. It was all, she literally said, we never know what God's doing to help get somebody else sober. God might be using his dick to get her sober. And that was literally the reframe that I was given. So not only did it validate it encouraged me to stay silent, and it encouraged me to do nothing about it, which what does that mean? It means it's going to still happen to other people down the line. And my friend gets there's no accountability in the group. Yeah. And nobody cares about it because nobody's doing anything about it. And so I would say, get help, find help. Maybe you need therapy. Maybe you need to process it. Maybe you need to go to the authorities. Boundaries. It's not okay. It's never okay. Silence isn't always the answer. Silence never really helped me with anything. Acting like things didn't happen never helped me with anything. That was a maladaptive coping strategy that until I had the ability to actually go and heal my stuff. But it's not okay. It was never okay. You don't have to say anything, but you can. And there's a healing available for you. And it might be with a professional therapist who is not 12-step.
Definitely. Definitely. SSW Custom Sewing 4276 said state attorney would probably be a good place to contact. Yeah, maybe if they start getting more, it doesn't hurt. That's for damn sure. I mean, I feel like silence may be the thing that you're going to get, but eventually, if enough people reach out.
Yeah, so we get state attorney general. And then we have Kate saying all they care about is sobriety and time. They don't do anything because doing something might cause the sexual abuser to drink. It's twisted AF. 100%. Mm-hmm. And I feel like you can't talk about anything bad in there because it's a third rail, a sacred cow. So you can't ever say anything negative about AA. So all that does is it makes it a breeding ground for more predation of all kinds, because the culture is that we don't talk about it. At least, it's different. Every group is different. Every individual is different. Every experience, every season, like things are different. Maybe it's different after Me Too came, era than before. But what I know, the groups that I was in, the culture was that we don't talk about it. We don't talk about anything bad about AA. We just kind of ignore it and we focus on ourselves, our higher power, and carrying the message. And that's it. No mess, just the message. And that was the culture for what I was in.
Yeah, same. I don't think it may have changed in some places, but it still definitely exists. Way to go, Pato. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. But to me, the best part of AA is leaving it 6 months since I left for good. Nice. Congratulations.
With Peter saying anonymity protects the predators 100%. The idea that we're supposed to protect the predators, and it's never explicitly said. Like nobody had a t-shirt that said protect the predators in AA.
Right.
But that's the culture, and what it sounds like is stay on your side of the street. What's your part? Do your inventory. That's like get in God's will, pack into the stream of life, go to another meeting, pray about it, or turn it over, help somebody. You're upset, go help somebody. All of that rhetoric and ideology or indoctrination, it protects the predators 100%.
Kate said, I just celebrated a year out. It was sometime in February, so celebrating today.
Yeah.
Nice.
We don't give a fuck because that's your birthday. Blue butterfly, the spiritual axiom. Oh yeah. Every time I'm hurt, it's something with me. 1 finger out, 3 fingers back at me. It's my problem that my friend got preyed upon. No. Let's see. The Muppet says, I always lost friends from speaking out against predators in AA. No love at all. They love dangerous people. Yeah, it's so weird because it's like the culture, at least let me know what you guys think. The culture where I was, and Tara, let me know if this is your experience too. The culture that I was in was that it would be dangerous to talk about the danger.
Yeah. It's like you said, for making people go out, whether it's the victim, whether it's the perpetrator, whether it's other people who are coming to the meetings for the first time, and that's the first thing that they hear about. We don't want to scare them away. I mean, it was just always one of those things that yeah, it's between them and God, and we're not perfect people, and that's why we're all here, because we're here to be better people and work on these things and blah. Yeah, totally. JQ5425 said the creepy old timers in their fan club. Yeah.
And Trish in Progress says, yes, it was always our fault. Yeah, I always joke about cult rule number 1 is we are not a cult. And cult rule number 2 is whatever we're talking about, it's your fault. We are always right and you are always wrong.
Yep. SW Custom Sewing said it's dangerous. They have a lot of reach, unfortunately. Yeah. That's what sucks. Everyone thinks that AA is the way, or at least helps some people. So you shouldn't talk about it because it's helped so many throughout the years.
And it just protects the predators. So big shout out to everybody who joined us live and has been vibing in the comments. I love reading the comments. I know we didn't get to throw up as many on the screen as we normally have on Burnie and Bestie because we had a guest, Monica. I hope you really enjoyed hearing from Monica and being able to engage with her. And that was so much fun to have our first guest here. And anybody who is catching the replay, feel free to comment it up below and join the conversation by commenting below. Yeah, it's been a total vibe. How was it for you having a guest? It was different, huh?
Yeah, it was different, but I liked it. It was like, you know, it kept it flowing with, and like I could chill a little bit. Yeah, no, I definitely liked it for sure. Especially Monica, of all people, you know, she like, because she is, I think, an inspiration to a lot of us. So it was super cool.
Was that that was your first time meeting Monica?
Yeah, like, I mean, I've talked to her like through the messenger, but never through the face of the computer.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. Kate says, a person in AA I know was a huge in the Me Too movement, then a famous rock star rapist got sober, and she's taking pictures with them. The brainwashing. Yeah, they're totally okay. So in Bali, this like known predator, I will not name names. This is not AA, but it speaks to what you're saying. It's so weird. Known predator, super famous person in America. After Me Too, flees the country because of the allegations, closes their business, like does like, if I said their name, you'd probably know it, flees to Bali. And then like, it's COVID and like nobody's there. And I'm at the gym and it's a very small gym. And there's like 2 of us in the gym and I'm on the treadmill and he's behind me. And I'm like, oh my God, it's that guy. And people are coming into the gym and taking selfies with him. And I'm like, he's behind me on the treadmill and I'm like freaking out because there's a predator behind me and everyone else like wants a photo with him. And I'm like, what part, like, why are we lost in fame? This is not okay. He's literally hiding out from his country because of all the Me Too allegations. And why are you taking a picture with him? Sorry.
People love their predators.
I had like a little memory there. I'm like, no, we don't take pictures with the predators. Well, I don't. Excuse me. I'm like no.
Yeah, it's wild.
Blue Butterfly says, great show today, ladies. Was great hearing Monica as Blue Butterfly, the movie star in Monica's movie. Reminded me of the good old days. JQ5425, I really appreciate your podcast. Thanks to both of you. You are very welcome. Rick Jones, what's up, Rick? Great chat today. Yeah, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much, Tara Grace, for another weekend with Burnie. Y'all like the weekends with Burnie?
What? Well, thank you. And it's always fun to vibe with you and chat with you. And, you know, appreciate you organizing this, getting it together. And I hope that everybody has a fabulous rest of their day whenever they're watching this. And yeah, thank you for joining and vibing with us. It's always great to hear from you guys and much appreciated. So
if there's anybody that you would like us to have on to Burnie and Bestie, let us know in the comments. Y'all requested Monica, so we made it happen. And that was such a delight. So if there's anybody else that you would like us to have on Burnie and Bestie live, let us know. And then we can do the vibe in the comments thing and vibe it up. So let us know. I take requests. You missed it, Andrea. Well, it is live on, if you go to Sobriety Bestie YouTube, it'll be there as soon as we finish. You can watch it from the beginning again. And I will put it on. I always put the audio on Sobriety Bestie podcast for the people who like to listen. Oh, we have this coming back from last time. Raise your hand if the Tom Green song goes through your head.
No.
My bum is on my Burnie. My bum is on the Burnie. She's like, no. My bum is on the
That was
Burnie.
stuck in my head for like a week.
Does anybody remember our like Tom Green moment we had last time? That was a moment. Don't feed the predators. 100% Peter. Yeah, laugh my ass. Yeah, my bum is on Burnie. My bum is on Burnie. That really gets you, doesn't it?
It literally was stuck in my head for like a whole week, all day, all
Okay,
night.
let's do another song. I know it's oops, I did it again.
All right, that one we can have.
My bum is on Burnie. I'm not
innocent. Oh man.
Take that and rewind it back. Y'all, I'm sober as fuck, and this is just, it is what it is. Fucking weird. Get weird up in here.
Just weird. Just weird.
I remember, and my face is already hurting. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's take another comment. Let's namaste. Let's find our center, and it's almost time to enjoy the rest of our day. Blue Butterfly says, Ken Anderson would be good. He is a harm reduction pioneer. He also knows Audrey Kirschling, the pioneer of he knew the pioneer of moderation management. Okay, so I'm going to write that down. Ken Anderson. As a guest. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. The Muppet says, I left AA to pray to Brittany. Yeah, you know what? You better work, bitch. You want a Maserati? You better work, bitch. You want sobriety? You better work, bitch.
Good advice by the one, the only, Britney Spears.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. It's definitely time for a bio break for me, so I'm ready to hit the bathroom. How are you feeling, Burnie? Burning desire over here to use the banyo. All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much. Let us know what's up in the comments. We're going to end this now, but you're free to continue the conversation in the comments, and we'll see you next time. All right. Bye, everybody.